from the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus. This is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon. I'm Emma Albert, and these are your top news and sports stories to 12 o'clock. Travelers aboard a BC ferry heading to Nanaimo endured a long late-night sailing when the vessel had engine trouble mid-voyage. BC Ferry says the Queen of Oak Bay departed Horseshoe Bay at about 8 p.m. Wednesday and was expected to reach Departure Bay on Vancouver Island before 10 p.m. But the 90-minute trip became a 5-hour excursion when the company says the ship had mechanical difficulty with its steering gear. A tug was needed to bring the vessel into the dock in Nanaimo at about 1 a.m., and repairs forced cancellation of numerous sailings between Nanaimo and the mainland on Thursday, adding to service disruptions that ferry officials warned were possible through the Easter weekend. Spokeswoman Deborah Marshall said earlier that a full suite of added sailings was planned for BC ferries during the long weekend, but said cancellations are possible on short notice as increasing COVID-19 cases have the potential to affect staffing. The city of Richmond recently saw over 20 cases of cryptocurrency fraud have been committed in the area in 2022 so far. Elijah Polson has more.
$2.6 million. That's how much in crypto has been stolen by scam artists this year, according to the Richmond RCMP. The reports highlight the most common trends among fraud cases, including reports of fake investment schemes, romance scams, and individuals pretending to be government agency representatives. Financial advisor Max Becker-Post was disappointed but not surprised about these cases and gave advice on how to avoid falling victim to fraud.
The main thing to highlight here is whether or not you think crypto is a good investment. If you want to invest in crypto, then stick with an established supplier.
Victims of fraud or those suspecting someone of trying to scam others are asked to contact their local police. Elijah Polson for 1680 The Crow.
We now go live to our reporter Elijah Polson. So, Elijah, what other common tactics do scam artists use to commit fraud?
Well, when I was speaking with Max, he told me that two of the most common tactics that I didn't mention were either greed or fear. So fear being someone like an international student being threatened that they would take away their student visa if they didn't give up their information or some currency, and greed being, your classic get-rich-quick scheme.
Definitely important to be wary of that. And do NFTs tie into this in any way?
Yes, in some capacity, mainly because they are attached to the Ethereum cryptocurrency, and ultimately NFTs are just website hyperlinks. And those hyperlinks can be deleted by the user anytime. So theoretically, one could create an NFT that would offer a bunch of money and then delete the link. Back to you.
Thanks, Elijah. British Columbia's Minister of Municipal Affairs, Nathan Cullen, and mayors from flood-impacted communities are making an announcement on flood support funding as we speak. Communities throughout BC were devastated by flooding during an atmospheric river storm in late 2021. More to follow later today. A positive case of avian influenza has been confirmed on a British Columbia farm in the North Okanagan region. Agricultural and Food Minister Lana Popham says in a statement, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency is leading the response, which will include testing, mapping, surveillance, and disposal. She says all poultry producers, including backyard poultry owners, are advised to increase their biosecurity practices and carefully monitor their flocks for any sign of illness. BC's Deputy Chief Veterinarian has also ordered all commercial poultry operators with more than 100 birds to move their flocks indoors until the spring migration ends in May. The order says the H5N1 strain of avian influenza was detected in wild birds around Metro Vancouver earlier this year. Several provinces have reported cases of the highly infectious H5N1 strain, and the order says investigations are underway in Alberta, Ontario, and Nova Scotia. Canada's top military commander admits the likelihood of a broader conflict resulting from Russia's invasion of Ukraine is one of the questions that keeps him awake at night. General Wayne Eyre told a breakfast meeting in Ottawa that war is unpredictable.
Many nations have gone to war thinking it would be short, sharp, and over, have the troops home by Christmas. Historically, that has not been the case. We're dealing with an actor who is unpredictable, who is all about maintaining his place, his legacy in the world. Could it expand in the future? I just don't know.
Canada currently has about 1,375 military members in Europe, including nearly 700 troops leading a NATO battle group in Latvia. Ontario Premier Doug Ford says people should remain cautious as the province contends with a sixth wave of COVID-19 cases. He made the comments today ahead of expected new projections from Ontario's expert COVID-19 advisory group.
I truly believe everyone should continue to be cautious, move forward cautiously.
Ontario has lifted many public health measures, including masking in most settings, but Ford says he would extend mask rules in high-risk settings if recommended by the province's top doctor. Environment Canada says more snow is expected today in southern Manitoba as a spring storm enters its second day. The weather agency says that as of this morning, Winnipeg has received 25 centimeters of snow. It predicts the city, along with the Red River Valley and southeast Manitoba, will be hit with another 5 to 10 centimeters as the day progresses. Barons River is expected to see the most snowfall today in the province with 10 to 15 centimeters. More with Manitoba, they have now joined most other provinces by allowing a third dose of the COVID-19 vaccine for children ages 12 to 17. Manitoba Health says people in that age group who had their last shot 6 months ago can get the third dose. All other provinces west of Nova Scotia made that change weeks ago. The Progressive Conservative government says it made the change based on guidance issued by the National Advisory Committee on Immunization on Tuesday. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba says his country needs military assistance within days to oppose Russia's military. He spoke at a news conference in Kiev.
If Ukraine doesn't receive all necessary weapons within days, not weeks, that will mean that more people, more civilians will be killed, more atrocities will be committed, and more Ukrainian villages and towns will be destroyed by the Russian offensive.
Russia claims 2 Ukrainian military helicopters entered its airspace today and launched at least 6 airstrikes on residential buildings. The man charged in this week's Brooklyn subway attack has been ordered held without bail, with prosecutors saying he terrified the entire city. Frank James was arrested in Manhattan a day after the attack, in which 10 people were wounded by gunfire. He made his first appearance in federal court Thursday. Authorities say a trove of evidence connects James to the attack. His credit card and a key to a van he had rented were found at the shooting scene. Officers also recovered the handgun used in the shooting, which tracing records show James purchased legally in Ohio in 2011. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has signed into law a 15-week abortion ban that will take effect on July 1st. DeSantis says the ban makes sense.
The bill today will provide protections for unborn children from abortion when the child reaches 15 weeks of gestational age. Of course, these are babies that have heartbeats and that can feel pain and can move.
It contains some exceptions, but does not allow exemptions in cases where pregnancies were caused by rape, incest, or human trafficking. A think tank that supports abortion rights believes if the U.S. Supreme Court decides to limit the procedure nationwide, 26 states are certain or likely to quickly ban or severely restrict abortion. Now let's take a look at the race to the NHL playoffs. The Canucks are in the running by a hair. With only 8 games left, Vancouver will be looking to get into one of the last 2 playoff spots that are still open. Currently, 3 other teams have their eyes on these spots: the Vegas Golden Knights, the Los Angeles Kings, and the Dallas Stars. For the Canucks to have a chance at playoffs, they can likely only afford one more loss. More ideally, none at all. The Canucks will be playing tonight against the Arizona Coyotes. Get ready, soccer fans. The Whitecaps are playing this Saturday in the first all-Canadian match of the Major League Soccer regular season. However, the Caps aren't going into the match on a high note, as they have the second worst record in the league, as well as coming off a loss against the Portland Timbers. Their opponents of CF Montreal are coming off a win against New York last Saturday. The teams head to the field Saturday at noon. FIFA is officially considering Vancouver to possibly host for the World Cup in 4 years. The 2026 World Cup will be hosted across 3 countries: Canada, Mexico, and the United States. FIFA stated the selection for host cities is still ongoing, but if confirmed that Vancouver is in the running. Moving on to the weather update. We're seeing partly cloudy skies with a temperature of 10 degrees. Not looking like too much rain today, but there is a 30% chance of showers this evening for those living near the mountains. Those were your news and sports for 12 o'clock. I'm Emma Albert, signing off for the last time for 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Hey there! Welcome to Companion Call. I'm Tiger Ann.
And I'm Sadie Chung. You're listening to 1680 The Crow. Ramadan is a holy month of fasting, introspection, and prayer for Muslims. It's celebrated as the month during which Muhammad received the initial revelations of the Quran, the holy book for Muslims. Now, today we hope to learn about and highlight 3 areas of discussion: the rules and traditions of Ramadan, how schools and workplaces can accommodate Muslims during the month, and what it's like taking part in Canada versus the Middle East. Ari Azez is the former president of the BCIT Muslim Students Association. He graduated just last year. He's also a regular volunteer with Ask a Muslim Canada, which is a local organization focused on hosting open discussions and distributing free books about Islam. We also have Burnaby Mountain Secondary student Menna Khadir joining us today. Menna is a Muslim student from Syria who immigrated to Canada in 2019.
So we'll start with segment 1, the rules and traditions of Ramadan.
Let's start with you, Ari. And first of all, can you also tell us if were you born here or did you grow up, have a different background?
Yeah, actually, I'm from East Vancouver, but I've moved to Surrey with my family about 16 years ago. So aside from a year that I lived in Calgary, which I will never repeat, I'm pretty much a lower mainland boy. But we do visit the Middle East. We're from Kurdistan, which is a region in North Iraq. So we visit every few years in the summer and just reconnect with our roots and kind of visit family and everything, right?
Yeah, lovely.
So how do you celebrate the traditions of Ramadan?
Right, that's a great question. I mean, it's important to note that unlike a lot of holidays that we have here in North America, the month of Ramadan isn't necessarily a celebration. It's actually more of an act of worship, right? And the celebration is a day that we call Eid, which comes at the very end of Ramadan. And it's basically a way to kind of congratulate yourself and everyone around you for completing a month of devotion and obedience to your Creator and spiritual refinement. To answer your question more specifically, the month of Ramadan, it's the ninth month of the Islamic lunar calendar. And in it, Muslims are essentially commanded to, number 1, refrain from food and drink as long as the sun is out, right? So when it's night, we can eat and drink. It's not like we're all month just like starving, right? So we do replenish ourselves at night. And it's not just food and drink like people think. You also have to refrain from intercourse if you are married with your spouse during the daylight hours. And there's also general things that we should refrain from year long, but it's emphasized during Ramadan, which is also, being mindful of your language, the things that you look at, the things that you are doing during the day, the places that you're going to, and just generally how you're spending your time. You are much better off trying to be productive and working on, self-improvement than to just kind of watch Netflix all day and, not leave your bed.
Totally. Yeah, that's beautiful. Did you have anything to add to that, Menna?
My opinion was actually similar to his, because Ramadan is not a celebration necessarily. It's more like a month of worship and forgiveness where you can build your faith in God more, pray, read Quran, which is their holy book. You also fast, not just from drinks and food. You also fast from lying, from saying bad words and etc, etc. So it's not a celebration necessarily. We do celebrate it, but it's not like a celebration. It's more like a month of worship.
Yeah, totally. That's really interesting. And sticking along the lines of fasting, depending on your circumstances, does everyone need to fast, or are there different exceptions?
There are exceptions that are outlined in the Quran, especially in the 2nd chapter called Surah Al-Baqarah. And in particular, children that have not reached the age of puberty, they're exempt. Also, for example, women that are breastfeeding, women that are pregnant, women also that are on their periods, and anyone that is sick or elderly as well. You can see that there's different categories. And the general concept within our religion is, as the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, is that you should not harm others and you shouldn't let harm be done. So we see these exemptions as God's mercy towards all of us as humans. And he knows that, some of us are weak and we can't necessarily finish it, whether because of our age or our health conditions at the time. And so these people are exempt. And if you are from these conditions that are exempt, except for the children, then you're told to just make up the day at a later date in the year if you're able to. And if not, then you should try to at least feed a poor person as expiation.
Wow, that's super interesting.
Nana, what do you think?
Yeah, what he said is correct, but I just want to mention something else. So my friends in school always think that Ramadan actually comes on a specific month, but no, Ramadan doesn't come on a fixed date in the year. It actually comes in a different month every year because I guess it depends on the moon. When the moon becomes like a crescent, I guess, they know that Ramadan should like begin. Yeah, that's what I wanted to mention because my friends get confused a lot. Like, when does it start? Does it like come on a different month every year? And I was like, yeah, I just explained that for them.
Yeah.
That is really cool because in Chinese New Year it's the same way. We go by the lunar calendar, and it's a different date every year. Quite interesting.
That's a good point you raised. Yeah, and the Islamic calendar is also based upon the lunar calendar, and so to be specific, the lunar calendar has only 354 days in the year instead of 365, which the lunar does. So every year we actually shift back 11 days. So a few years ago we were fasting in the summer, and it was kind of hot and about 18 hours every day. But now every year we're shifting closer and closer towards the winter, and it's getting a bit easier.
There you go.
So how do you guys break your fast? You talk about, Ramadan is like the period for Allah. And tell me more about Eid. That is like more like a celebration, right? When everyone comes together and break their fast. What is that like? And can you compare? I don't know if you have ever celebrated, went through Ramadan in the Middle East. Are there any differences between here and abroad? I guess Mena can definitely answer this question. So why don't we start with Mena?
So yeah, it is very different from the Middle East because that Eid is it is a 3-day celebration that comes right after Ramadan, where we break our fasting, and the celebration actually begins by going to the Eid prayers in the morning, and then after the prayers we go to our grandparents' house, greet everyone, and then elders start giving money and treats to like kids. That was my favorite part, to be honest. It's still my favorite. And then it would just be like hang out, travel, go to the amusement park. It is like a fun celebration. It's just like Christmas for Christians. Eid is like Christmas for Muslims. It is that fun for us.
Wow, definitely something to look forward to.
Yeah. And my mom used to do like a specific, tradition that no one else does. So every time in Eid, she used to put a gift under my and my sister pillows. So we would wake up the next day and actually find a gift under our pillows. So
oh, that's cute. Oh, yeah. That is exciting. And does she still do that?
I mean, we got old right now. So
darn it. And what about you, Ari? Do you have any kind of traditions you do yourself?
Yeah, it's really interesting hearing Mina's experiences back home. I think in the Middle East, it's definitely a lot more fun when you have everyone, like literally every single person celebrating with you. Whereas here, you kind of got to take the day off of school or work to go celebrate. But once you get into that crowd, it's definitely a big thing. In general, there are certain so to say, rituals that everyone follows that we have in common that's like based in the religion. So for example, on the day of Eid, you'd wake up and you would take a shower or a bath, and you'd wear like some really clean clothes and put on some nice perfume. And we would start off with a community prayer outdoors typically. And so I live in Surrey, so we used to go to Bear Creek Park every year. And it's a really different environment because it's one thing to pray like in your place of worship, but to do it outdoors and like the grass and the trees and everyone's around you, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and so after that, that's typically when literally the eating and the drinking begins, because this holiday in specific at the end of Ramadan, it is known as like the holiday of the feast. because you just went like 30 days of like restraining and kind of practicing your self-control. And so now is a chance for everyone to go out and to celebrate. And we have a specific charity that everyone is obligated to pay, regardless if you're young or old, or even for children. And typically, like the father would pay on behalf of their whole family. And this charity goes to all the poor families to ensure that everyone has enough funds to eat and drink during these days, so nobody's left out.
Oh, that's great. And so, forgive me if I pronounce this wrong. I'm hearing about suhoor and that there's different recipes. Can you tell me about that and what exactly that is?
Maybe I'll pass it over to Mina. She probably has more recipes than me.
Yeah, Mina, let us know.
Okay, sure. So for suhoor, we prefer to eat something light so we don't get thirsty or hungry the next day. So I heard that bananas and yogurt actually like reduce thirst and hunger. So what I like to do is like an oatmeal recipe, which I was just oatmeal and bananas, honey, yogurt. That's my favorite for support. It's very light and I don't get thirsty or hungry the next day. So
good thinking, strategic
cool.
planning.
I think that's all we have for the first segment. And now let's move on to the second segment. Ari and Mena, Ari, you're the BCIT Muslim Association ex-president, so you're very involved on campus, and Mena is a high school student. So how can schools and workplaces, like, how can they accommodate Muslim people during Ramadan? I know the BCIT offers a prayer room. Maybe, Ari, can you talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. And it's quite interesting because the way that workplaces and schools could accommodate for Muslims during Ramadan is the same way that they could accommodate throughout the rest of the year, which is, we're fairly low maintenance. And all we really need is that, the same way that a lot of classes offer a 10-minute break for you to go out and grab a coffee or have a smoke. A lot of Muslims usually take that 10-minute break to go out and pray, to just take that moment to reconnect with their creator and take a bit of a break from the world, because there's always a lot going on and it's easy to get distracted. So it's great that, as you mentioned, BCIT has a prayer room just above the student association, and for a lot of other schools or workplaces that don't already have a prayer room, you don't actually need anything special, just a clean place. As the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, the entire earth is a place to worship. So you can be outdoors in the park, you can be, in a closet somewhere in your bedroom. You don't really have like a designated special thing that you need. In fact, when I used to study at Kwantlen University, they had an empty classroom that they just laid down some carpet and they said, here, this is your new prayer room. And we've been using that for years now. So yeah, just being mindful of, the fact that as Muslims, we do have prayer times throughout the day. They're evenly spaced out, and typically throughout the day, it's only once in the summer that we would have to take a break, and in the winter, because the days are much shorter, usually about twice. So just be mindful of the prayer times. Understand if your student comes 10 minutes late to class or to work, especially on Fridays, because on Fridays we have a community prayer that is obligatory upon every Muslim male. And number one, being mindful of the time, and number two, if you don't already have a space, try and accommodate and come up with a prayer place.
Yeah, totally. And Mena, on that note, like, as we said, you're in high school. So do you feel like accommodated there? You might participate in PE or any kind of physical things. And I can imagine that taking a toll on you, especially when you're fasting. So are there ways that they can accommodate that? Are there expectations, or should there be?
Yeah, as you said, PE class is a real issue. I don't know if you guys know, but PE class from grade 8 to 10 is mandatory in high school. So last year, I had PE class every day while I was fasting, and we used to do all that hard work, when I was fasting. So I used to go back home almost dead. So I think schools should make like PE classes optionals for Muslims during Ramadan. I also think that, so let me tell you, last year also, I went on a hike with my teacher, like with my class, okay? And then the teacher started offering us Timbits. I don't know if you guys know Timbits.
Yeah.
And I actually thanked him. Like I said, I don't eat right now because I'm fasting.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know if he was like, he understood me. But then like a few minutes later, he came back again and offered me Timbits again. I don't know if he did that on purpose. I'm not sure, but that wasn't nice of him.
Yeah.
To be honest, he offered me Timbits like 3 times, and I told him that I'm fasting. So I don't know if that was on purpose. I'm assuming it's not, to be honest. But like, just avoid offering food for Muslim students. That's also another thing.
It's like they're tempting you almost, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to play something now, and just for our viewers, just because I know for me, I've never heard of this, and I'm sure a lot of other people haven't. I'm going to play the azan, which is the Muslim call to prayer, as I'm sure you know. Is that okay with you?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
So yeah, that is super beautiful. And when you're at school, when you're from work, like how do you get a reminder that it's time to prayer?
I actually have an app for that.
Ooh.
I set this app where like I'm staying, but like let's say I'm staying now in Burnaby. I set this app that I'm staying in Burnaby, and then every time like how do I say it? But it just like the azan comes up.
Yeah, and it alerts you. That's super cool that they make apps like that. And do you use kind of the same, Ari, or is there a different way that you go by?
I think pretty much everyone uses the app now. In the Muslim countries, they actually do the call to prayer live because there's so many mosques all around the city, and they also have permits with the government to use the mega speakers and make sure that the noise gets heard. Being here, you can't really have that same permit, so yeah, we have our push notifications on our app, and if you have your location services turned on, even if you're traveling, it basically calculates like when the sun is going to rise or when it's going to set, and it'll just give you a little notification. You can choose to actually set so that your notification gives you like a pre-recorded adhan.
Okay.
Or you can just have it like a silent one. I'm at work, I don't want to like freak out my coworkers, so I just have the silent one on. My mom keeps it on loud, so she'll be in Walmart and it'll just go off. So
I love it.
Has their own preferences.
I love it. Well, I think we should move on to our last segment, and that is just about what it's like taking part in Ramadan in Canada versus the Middle East. So, Mena, maybe you can talk about what the difference was for you having Ramadan in Syria and what's it like now in Canada.
Yeah, it is really different. So, back there, we used to all gather to eat what we call iftar together, like as a family, and then like watch series together, pray together. It used to be much more fun, to be honest. Also, like back in Egypt, I used to, when I want to break my fasting and eat iftar, I used to like hear azan from the mosque itself, not just from the app, not just like an app notification. So it is really different. It's much more fun in the Middle East. And also, but back there, before Ramadan comes, neighbors, like all neighbors, decorate the neighborhood, their houses. So it feels fun, like just going into a neighborhood that is full of decorations, and it feels fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure you can all relate. And then I think just a final question for both of you.
Both of you, this might be a little bit deeper. So do you think Canada needs to adapt a little bit more to Muslim traditions, especially on Canadian soil? What do you guys think?
Being here in Canada is definitely a big blessing. Religious freedom is something that we all get to benefit from and enjoy. We're all free to, dress the way that we want, to worship the way that we want. And it's not necessarily something that you have to do in private. Like, we have the ability to come here, even like on this podcast, and we can talk freely about our beliefs and share our thoughts with one another. So overall, like, I think Canada is definitely doing a great job.
Good. Well, that's all the time we have.
Sorry. Yeah,
Thank you
that's all the
so much for,
joining
sharing.
us and educating the public. I feel like we learned a lot, but once this podcast is published, people are going to learn a lot more.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. So once again, thank you both.
Awesome. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I'm Sadie Chung.
And I'm Tiger Ann.
You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Ramadan Mubarak.
myself and several other investigators heard with our own ears a female moan, like a
Chad, what the heck was that clip about?
Hey, listen, man, that was Kelly Burge, and she's the president from the Vancouver Paranormal Society, and we talked about everything to do with paranormal activity.
Okay, here you go derailing my show again. Anyway, sorry everyone. I'm your host, The Big Mac. I'm in studio here with Chad Money. Chad, what's with the clip?
Well, the reason why I wanted to talk to her is that I've always been curious about paranormal activity. And as somebody with an open mind, it's not like I don't believe in it, but I've never had the experience. So I just wanted to know more, and I figured, hey, let's throw this on the podcast and see if we can figure it out.
Dude, if you want to know more, why don't you watch Ghostbusters?
Hey, see, you're throwing the G word out there, and that can be taken as offensive to people that do work like paranormal activity. So we're going to talk about that later, too.
Well, I can't wait to hear about that. Well, let's start the show. This is the What We Don't Know podcast with Mac Fleet and Chattis Leo.
So, Mac, what are your thoughts on paranormal activity?
Don't have any. I do not believe in it whatsoever.
Really? Well, I'm not here to change your mind, but I definitely want to explore the idea of what it is and somehow look into the history of BC's paranormal activity.
You know, you're more than welcome to try. Let's take a gander. Let's see if what comes up.
Yeah, okay. Well, before we even get started, for people listening, might want to know what actually is paranormal activity. So I talk to Kelly, and she gives us her explanation.
Paranormal research is a pseudoscience. So it's not recognized by mainstream science. So we know something's happening that we can't explain. We just don't know what. And because there's no basis from the actual scientific community, we can only do what we can do, but we can't say 100% that you have a ghost in your house or a ghost in your building or anything like that.
Huh. Well, she did say ghost there, so I'm curious. Is it or is it not offensive?
That's the thing. I did ask them, and they are very careful on how and when they use the term ghost. I actually asked Scott, the lead investigator for the Vancouver Paranormal Society, how we deal with that G word we talked about earlier.
So I think when you use ghost, that it's I don't even know the best way to put it, but it's kind of like a swear word in my terms. Like I don't go looking for ghosts. I go looking for things that go bump in the night, and I try to explain those things. And if I can't explain them, I look at that as something I just there's no explanation for it. I don't want to say it's a ghost because I don't really know. None of us really know. So if there's a knock on your wall, that could be a pipe, it could be a rat, it could be a number of things. But if I can't pin it down, I don't want to say it's a ghost because that would lose my credibility. You know what I mean?
Now, Mac, after Scott was done his thoughts, Kelly jumped in on the ghost definition and what happens when they finish gathering all their evidence and they say, bring it to a client.
When we go into, say, a residential, as Scott said, he captures something. He doesn't want to say it's a ghost because it's like a swear word. We just don't know. We leave it up to the client. When we will go through all of the evidence captured, we'll submit it to the team. The whole team will go through it all and they'll give their input on it. And anything that doesn't stand out as, viable, meaning it's with a voice, it's full tone, it's clear, you can tell what's being said, it's not one of the investigators. Same with visuals. We're going to present, we're all going to analyze that together in each other's captures, and we're going to cherry pick what is the best of the best of the best. And we don't have anything that stands out as the best of the best of the best, we won't submit it. That means if we don't submit anything. And then when we provide it to the client, it's really up to them. Like, I'm the one that submits the evidence to the client, and I let them listen or view it and ask them to get back to me and let me know what they think. If they think it's great Aunt Betty, then it's great Aunt Betty.
All right, so I'm finally getting the grasp of, the definition of paranormal activity. When you started the show, you played that super random clip of that ghost. Oh, I said the G word. the girl moaning that Kelly mentioned. Does she go on to mention where that actually took place?
Yes, that's the great thing is as we've learned about paranormal activity, now I want to get some history on it, or BC history if you want to go there. And so she said that was in Stave Lake Powerhouse. Do you know where that is?
Dude, no way. Dude, that is in my backyard. Let's do it.
Okay, so there we go. We're going to go to Stave Lake. It's a powerhouse. It's not operational anymore, but they still offer tours. So hopefully we can just go there and talk to somebody at the front desk and they'll let us in, and then we'll see what we can find.
Sounds good, buddy.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, it's about 1:30 here in the afternoon. We're driving down this forested road. It's out in the boonies, way back in the Mission backcountry, but we're looking forward to it. It's a dark day. Definitely got some good atmosphere and ambience for what we're going to be doing here today.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Like I told you before we started recording here, I was, a little bit down and out that it was like in the middle of the daytime that we were going to go try and find some paranormal activity. But it is pretty dark for a, middle of the day. Like you said, it's gray out, and I'm looking forward to it. We both, I guess, are really not completely believers in this thing, but I'm feeling pretty excited just to go there and check it out.
Yeah, no, hopefully we have a good time, see what all the fuss was about with the Paranormal Society. They said they had some good readings there, so hopefully we have some similar luck.
All right, well, let's crank some tunes and get ourselves there. So we're just in front of the powerhouse here. We're just taking a quick look at the outside, just kind of observing the building. Definitely is an old building. How are you feeling, Mac? Are we still going inside?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
All right, let's go.
That is freaking sus.
I think it looks like that more because we know. We. So
I don't know, I think you could come in here with no, what's the word I'm looking for? Acknowledgement of, the paranormal activity or no knowledge of it, and you could just look and be like, something ain't right here. Yeah, so, as soon as you walk in, we go straight to the reception.
So are we paying together or separate?
I will do separate today.
Okay. So it's $8?
Hey, no, I'll do it on debit.
Okay, come over to this side.
And the lady was well aware of lots of groups or organizations' attempts to, research the paranormal here. So that kind of just confirmed what Kelly and Scott were saying, that this is a hot spot. It's very popular.
Yeah, she said there was 2 specific rooms that there was some activity. Do you remember which one? We're just kind of looking at the map.
Yeah, so I got a map here, and I'm looking at the lower floor. There's a history hall that they said they've had lots of success there. And
number 5, it's a room that's all about electricity. Interesting. Yeah, well, let's, I think so. Well, I mean, let's check the map here, hey? Room 5.
Theater. Hayward Theater was 2.
Okay, so we're theater. So we need to go just way down that way. Okay, let's go.
So yeah, this is the first part where they told us to kind of keep an eye out. We are in the all about electricity room.
Okay.
Lots of displays.
Looks like there's lots of buttons here.
Got the Wimhurst machine.
Whoa, that's crazy. Look at the lights in here.
Wimhurst machine.
Man, if there are paranormal activity here. Oh my god!
What is this?
Oh my god. That's crazy, dude. Oh my god. Dude, if there is paranormal activity here, there's something for them to do. At night, they can play with this stuff.
All right, freeze frame. First of all, apologize for the freaking jump scare. As a listener, you're having to go through what I went through when I pushed that button. But just to throw it out in the air, that wasn't paranormal.
No.
I pressed this button, and the static electricity thing just scared the heck out of
Oh,
us.
and man, you can hear me in there, and I just jumped, and I'm holding the expensive recorder. I thought I almost dropped the thing. I was so scared. So yeah, it was just electrical currents running very loudly, as you can hear. But when you're looking for paranormal activity, I feel like you're always on edge. So stuff like that could just throw you off so quickly, right?
Absolutely. And in this room, there are so many gizmos that, like, if you just let yourself be open to the paranormal activity, like, you could imagine these things getting set off. And yeah, like as Chadis referenced, we were really on edge.
Yeah, definitely. So, and that's the thing though, that was the one of the rooms, but the other room, which I think is more historical and I think feels like that's where they would mainly hang out, is the lower history hall inside of the powerhouse.
Yeah, so that first electrical room, pretty small dimension-wise, but then it's great. You walk down this hallway, and then it just pans to this giant room. We're talking, geez, I couldn't even wrap. It's almost like a department store, really, but it's full of giant turbines. There's multiple floors, and it just reeks of history.
Oh my God, yeah, it's crazy. It's like walking into like a Costco-sized powerhouse. So let's take a look and see what happens.
Sounds good, man.
So this is the generator hall?
Yeah, so
She was saying it was the lower part of this.
Yeah, so it looks like there's a staircase where we can go down, and she's saying they've had a lot of
activity down there.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so now we're heading down to the bottom part, which is the history hall. We're just heading down the stairs here. It's definitely, just feel like you're going back in time, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're actually in the history hall now, and like there's a viewing deck of the turbines, and they look huge from up there, but man, when you get down to the ground level, these things are massive. They're about, I would say 12 feet in height, freaking honestly probably like 15 in width.
Yeah.
They are massive.
They're
giant.
They're huge, man. Imagine these things used to turn like all day, every day. And just to maintain that is crazy. Now, the weird part that spooks me out is that there's footprints, and I know it's to direct us where we're going, but it does feel like it's just like, go, you know, ghosty. You know what I mean? And if in fact there is something here, like I could see the recordings being clear, because like just being it's a very echoey building, so I can imagine the paranormal activity people being here and getting like really clear recordings just due to the acoustics.
I believe in one of Scott's clips he talked about authenticity, and this place definitely doesn't promote the paranormal activity, so it doesn't feel like it's a cash grab, you know. We came in seeking it, and they were more than generous in telling us what sort of been going on, but it's definitely not the main draw here.
Yeah, definitely, and that's the important thing to think. It's not the main draw, but any employee that we talked to or that just briefly passed by, if we had mentioned what we were doing, they didn't think we're crazy to do it.
Yeah, no,
you know,
it's
they didn't say you're in the wrong building.
You know, as a cynic of myself, you know, if I felt a little weird asking, you know, about, hey, is there any paranormal stuff here? But her response definitely, you were able to tell it's not the first, second, or third time she's been asked that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so after we finished during the history hall, we walked around, checked out the views, and then we left. So, you know, we didn't run into anything. I don't know how would you say that? We didn't find any G words.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a cool experience, you know. I'm trying to be more open-minded, so to go in with an open mind and kind of see the possibilities, I think that was cool. I'm still a bit of a cynic, but, you know, looking at a venue like that, I could definitely suspend my belief and realize, like, yo, there could be something
going on. And that's the great thing, is that even if we didn't actually run into something, because again, it was daytime, they're open, there's people around, and I'm assuming that paranormal activity happens in the evening. So, you know, I mean, a little disappointed we didn't run into anything, maybe a bit of relief, but I can see that building and feel the vibration of that place, that there has to be something going on in that place, but you know, we just didn't get a chance to run into it.
Yeah, no, that was definitely an awesome tour. I'd like to extend a thank you to Kelly and Scott for informing us of this. I definitely wouldn't have known, living in Mission, I didn't even know it had any paranormal history. So big thanks to them for letting us know.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it definitely feel like we definitely were walking around history. I mean, let alone the building was a historic building, but to actually kind of, feel the history of that paranormal activity is definitely unique. At least we'd like to think that we might have felt something. But again, we didn't really see it, but it was fun nonetheless. So I'm glad we did this, man. I mean, maybe we'll look into this another day, but definitely feel like we had some fun, if anything.
Well, that's all we have for this week on What We Don't Know. I'm Mac.
I'm Chattis.
Thanks for listening.
From the broadcast center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon, I'm McKenna O'Neill with your 1 o'clock news. BC Ferries announced cancellations this Easter long weekend. Due to mechanical issues with one of the vessels, 7 sailings have been canceled today from Horseshoe Bay, Nanaimo, and Longdale. Any reservation fees or fares paid will be fully refunded on trips canceled. Vancouver's mayor is proposing another increase to the city's empty homes tax. Kennedy Stewart plans to increase the levy from its current 3% to 5%. Council will debate the proposal at meetings scheduled for April 26th and 27th. And a Burnaby nonprofit is hosting a giveaway to donate books to local elementary students. The company is looking at empowering students through reading. Our reporter David Natalini has more.
The Base's Family Thrift Store is raising funds for the return of the Great Book giveaway. The company's goal is to give 10 books to every student in 3 Burnaby elementary schools. Executive Director Isabel Barros says these books are meant to encourage kids from low-income families to read over the summer.
To be the person in the story, to be able to think about and imagine who they want to be. Reading empowers you to a point where, there's nothing you can't do.
The company is raising $4,000 for the giveaway and will be paying the rest out of pocket. Barros says the giveaway has been received well and is honored to be working on the project. David Natalini, 1680 The Crow.
Canada Post says it has temporarily suspended mail delivery along 2 blocks in Vancouver's downtown East Side neighborhood because of safety concerns. Spokeswoman Valerie Chardon stated that the Federal Crown Corporation is working to resolve the issue as quickly as possible and find a long-term solution that will ensure the well-being of our employees. It says customers who are affected on East Hastings have been notified and their mail is available to be picked up from a Canada Post facility about 2 kilometers away from the area. Canada Post did not elaborate on the exact nature of the safety concerns. Mayor Kennedy Stewart says the city is working with Canada Post to ensure mail delivery continues, and it is also working to help the vulnerable residents of the downtown east side. Canadian soldiers are going to be deployed soon from the CFB Trenton, Ontario to Poland for a humanitarian mission to help Ukrainian refugees. Defense Minister Anita Anand says the mission is part of Canada's committee to the NATO alliance.
We are confident that this is a mission that should be undertaken in the interests of humanitarian aid, in the interests of aiding our Polish allies, and in the interests of the NATO alliance writ large, as refugees are fleeing Ukraine, and this humanitarian support is needed in Poland immediately.
A Holy Thursday ceremony has been held at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre as Catholics mark Holy Week in Jerusalem. Reporter Charles de Ledesma with the Associated Press has more.
The ceremony, conducted by the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, Pierbattista Pizzaballa, involves a foot-washing ritual that symbolises Jesus' willingness to serve. The holiday this year comes as tourists are returning to the Holy Land following 2 years of disruption during the pandemic. It's also taking place as tensions between Israelis and Palestinians rise amid a spate of recent Palestinian attacks in Israel that have sparked military raids in the occupied West Bank in response. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk is offering to buy Twitter for more than $43 billion. Reporter Jim Ryan has the details.
Hoping to ease some of the free speech restrictions at Twitter, Elon Musk says he wants to take the company private, offering $54.20 a share and telling the board in a letter, it's a high price and your shareholders will love it. Twitter has now responded, acknowledging that it's received the Musk offer and promising to carefully review it.
And tonight in hockey, the Vancouver Canucks, who are making a late playoff push, host the Arizona Coyotes tonight at 7 p.m. The Edmonton Oilers are in Nashville, and the Ottawa Senators visit the Boston Bruins. The Pacific Division leading Calgary Flames are hosting the Vegas Golden Knights. The 2022 NFL Draft is just 2 weeks away. Round 1 begins April 28th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN and ABC. Fans still have many questions about how all 32 teams plan to approach the draft. The draft ends on April 30th. When Stars on the Ice hits the ice Friday night in Florida, it will be for the first time in 2 years. To spice up the tour, they've added an Olympic gold medalist and 2 world champions. The 24-city tour was idled by the COVID-19 pandemic, but it returns with Beijing winner Nathan Chen and Paris world champs Alexa Kinnerm and Brandon Fraser in the cast.
The skaters are as eager to entertain as figure skating fans are eager to watch. In today's weather, it's mostly cloudy with a high of 11 and low of -1. This has been your 1 o'clock news. I'm McKenna O'Neill, and you're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.